Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about something that can make or break your wedding day experience, your timeline. I still remember my cousin's wedding where everything was running 2 hours behind schedule. And by the time dinner was served, half the guests were hungry and the other half had left already. Not exactly the magical moment she had imagined. Your wedding day timeline is basically your roadmap to an amazing celebration. Get it right, and everything flows beautifully. Get it wrong, and you might find yourself rushing through important moments or waiting around in your wedding dress for hours. But don't worry, I'm here to help you create a timeline that actually works and keeps everyone, especially you, happy and stress-free. So grab your planning notebook or open that wedding planning app because we're about to map out the perfect wedding day timeline together. By the way, if you are using any wedding planning app, let me know in the comments which one you are using. I'm really curious to know. I'm going to share with you 8 tips on how to get the best wedding day timeline, and in the end I'll share a concrete example of a wedding day timeline. The first thing you need to do is nail down your ceremony time. This is the anchor for your entire day. If your ceremony starts, for example, at 4 p.m., this helps you figure out when everything else needs to happen. Once you have your ceremony time, work backwards to plan the earlier parts of your day. For example, if your ceremony is, as I said, at 4 p.m., your hair and makeup might need to start around 10 a.m., especially if you have several bridesmaids. Remember that hair and makeup almost always takes longer than expected. My recommendation is to add at least an extra hour as a buffer. And don't forget to include time for getting dressed, taking pre-ceremony photos, and transportation to your venue. Also, make sure to schedule a light breakfast and lunch. You would be surprised how many brides forget to eat, and then what happens? They feel dizzy during the ceremony. This is what we definitely want to avoid. Tip number 2. Photos are one of the biggest timeline challenges on wedding days. Believe me, talk to your photographer about exactly how much time they need for different shots. Typically, you'll want to allow something like half an hour for bridesmaid photos, another half an hour for groomsmen photos, extra half an hour for family formal photos. Then I would allocate 30-45 minutes for couple portraits, 50-20 minutes for full wedding party photos. If you are doing a first look before the ceremony, make sure to build that into your timeline as well. This can actually help your timeline flow better, since you'll get many photos done before the ceremony. Also, it's really cool to do them before the ceremony where your look is still fresh. Because you might want to cry during the ceremony, so I would definitely recommend to get some photos before. Remember that moving people from place to place takes time too. If you need to gather 20 family members for photos after the ceremony, build in 10-15 minutes just for that organizing time. When planning your timeline, think about the experience from your guest's perspective. Long waiting periods can make guests restless and uncomfortable. If there are more than 30 minutes between your ceremony and reception, provide some sort of entertainment or refreshments for your guests. Even, something simple like a lemonade station or acoustic guitarist can make waiting time feel intentional rather than like a delay. So use this trick. Also, be mindful of meal timing. Try not to make guests wait more than an hour after arrival at the reception before serving at least some food. Whether that's appetizers, during cocktail hours, or the main meal. It doesn't matter. Hungry guests are rarely happy guests. Remember that. And one tip I love: if you're planning on taking sunset photos during dinner, which can be gorgeous, make sure you eat first. Ask your caterer to serve you and your partner as soon as you sit down, so you can enjoy your meal before stepping away. Now, this might be the most important tip of all. Build buffer time into your schedule. Things will go wrong or run late on your wedding day. It's not a question of if, but how much. For each major transition in your day, add 15-30 minutes of buffer time. For example, between finishing hair, makeup, and leaving for the ceremony. Between the ceremony and reception start. Before any major reception activities like first dance or cake cutting. This extra time means that if your makeup artist needs an extra 20 minutes or if family photos run long, you won't be throwing off your entire day. And if everything somehow runs exactly on time, rare but it happens, you'll just have a few minutes to breathe and be present in the moment, which is never a bad thing. A perfect timeline doesn't help if no one knows what it is. So make sure your timeline is clearly communicated to everyone who needs to know it. Create a detailed version for your wedding party and vendors with all specific times and locations. Share this at least a week before the wedding so everyone can plan accordingly. And make also a simplified version for family members with just the key times they need to be places. And consider appointing a timeline manager. Whether that's your wedding planner, coordinator, or a responsible bridesmaid or family member, someone who keeps track of time and gently nudges things along as needed. One thing that really helps is to create a shared digital timeline that automatically adjusts if you need to make changes. You can use a planning app for it, or even just a shared Google Doc works well. This way, if your hair appointments need to start 30 minutes earlier, everyone can see the update right away. Tip number 6 is about transportation. Transportation can be a major timeline disruption if not planned carefully. Always allow more time than mapping app suggests for getting between locations. If your wedding is in a busy urban area or during rush hour, double the estimated travel time. If you're in an area where many weddings happen at once, remember that other wedding parties might be using the same roads and causing delays. If you're providing transportation for guests, schedule the pickup time at least 30 minutes before they actually need to depart to the destination. This accounts for late guests and loading time. And always have a backup plan. Know what you'll do if a vehicle breaks down or if traffic is much worse than expected. Sometimes having the phone number of a local taxi service saved can be a wedding day lifesaver. Your reception timeline needs breathing room too. Many couples can try to pack too many activities into their wedding reception, which can make everything feel rushed and prevent guests from actually enjoying themselves. As a general guideline, here's a simple reception flow that works well. Cocktail hours, 45-60 minutes. Grand entrance and welcome. First dance, optional to do now or after dinner. Dinner service, allow at least 90 minutes. Toasts, during or after dinner. Parent dances, cake cutting, open dancing, here would allow at least 2 hours. A special exit if you are doing one. Remember that each transition takes time too. Moving 100+ people from cocktail hour to being seated for dinner doesn't happen instantly. And please don't schedule your bouquet toast at 11 p.m. when half your guests have already left. If traditional activities like bouquet toasts are important to you, do them on the earlier side. The end of your wedding often gets the least planned attention, but it deserves some thought too. Decide in advance when your reception will end and what happens afterwards. If you're having an after party, make sure transportation is arranged. If you're spending the night somewhere special, confirm check-in details and maybe have someone drop off your bags early in the day. Also plan for what happens to your gifts, personal items, and any decor you want to keep. Assign someone specific to be responsible for collecting the things, definitely not you or your new spouse. And don't forget to check when vendors need to be out of your venue. If the venue needs to be cleared by midnight, but your reception ends at 11:30 p.m., you might need people to help with quick cleanup or item collection. Okay, now let me walk you through exactly how I would structure my wedding day if I were getting married now, knowing all the tips I've just shared with you. Let's say I'm having a 4 p.m. reception with 150 guests, and here I would plan every single detail. 8 a.m. Morning prep begins. I would start my day with a proper breakfast and coffee. I would make sure to eat well because I know it's going to be a long day and I definitely don't want to feel dizzy or low on energy. I would schedule my hair and makeup tip to arrive at 9 a.m., giving myself, plenty of time to wake up properly and not feel rushed. Okay, between 9 a.m. and 12:30 p.m., I would schedule for hair and makeup. And now let's talk about it. This is where I would really apply that buffer time strategy. Even if my makeup artist estimates 2.5 hours, I'm scheduling for 3.5 hours just in case. Trust me, this would be perfect because we would end up needing the extra time for touch-ups and photos of the getting ready process. Better safe than sorry, 12:30 p.m., 1:30 p.m. I would schedule a full 1 hour for getting into my dress and taking bride-only photos. This would give me time to breathe and have a few quiet moments with my mom before the busy afternoon. And my photographer would capture beautiful shots of my dress details and those emotional moments that I would treasure forever. The next 30 minutes I would schedule for transportation to venue. Even though my venue might only be 15 minutes away, I would allow half an hour for transportation. You know how unpredictable traffic can be. And this would be so smart because wedding day traffic is always heavier than expected, and we would need time to touch up hair and makeup when we arrive. From 2 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., my partner and I would choose to do a first look before the ceremony. The 30-minute session would give us private time together and get many photos done earlier. I know that would make our post-ceremony flow so much smoother. The next 30 minutes are for wedding party photos. With our couple photos done, we'd move on to bridal party pictures. If I had 6 bridesmaids and my partner had 6 groomsmaids, we would need this full half an hour to get everyone organized and capture all the group combinations we want. Family photos can be tricky to organize, so I would build in another 30 minutes and designate someone like my cousin as our family wrangler to help gather people quickly. I will give them also a list of all the photos combinations we want ahead of time. And we might even finish 10 minutes earlier. That would be really great. Then I would allocate another 15 minutes for final prep and guest arrival. While our guests are arriving and finding their seats, I would use this time for final hair and makeup touch-ups and to mentally prepare for the ceremony. My wedding party would be greeting guests and helping with any last-minute details. As mentioned before, at 4 p.m. ceremony will start and I will allocate half an hour for it. And you know, the ceremony would start exactly on time because I would have built buffer time into everything leading up to it. 30 minutes for the ceremony is the perfect length to feel meaningful without being too long for our guests. From 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. This is where my planning would really pay off. While our guests enjoy cocktail hours with appetizers and drinks, my partner and I would take our remaining family photos and some additional couple shots. This way our guests wouldn't be waiting around with nothing to do while we take pictures. From 5:30 to 6 p.m. I would allocate this time for grand entrance and first dance. We would choose to do our first dance right after the grand entrance while energy is high. This would also give our catering team time to finish final dinner preparations without rushing anyone. I would schedule a full 90 minutes for dinner service, which would include time for toasts during the meal. This would feel relaxed and give our guests plenty of time to eat, chat and enjoy the speeches without feeling rushed. After dinner, we would do our cake cutting. Great for photos while there is still good light, followed by parent dances. I would schedule these special moments before the open dancing, when everyone is still present and attentive. From 8 p.m. till 11 p.m. this would be our longest block of time, 3 full hours of dancing. I would make sure to schedule this generously because I know our friends and family love to dance. Our DJ would keep the energy high and the dance floor would stay packed all night. At 9 p.m. I would schedule also this bouquet and gâteau toss. So I would schedule these traditions at 9 p.m. instead of waiting until the very end, because this way families with children could participate before heading home and our single friends would still be present and engaged. We would plan a sparkle exit at 11 p.m. sharp. This would give our guests a beautiful send-off moment and clear signal that the reception is ending. If our venue required us to be out by 11:30, this timing would work perfectly. By the way, if you are looking for some creative ideas on how to create the perfect wedding exit, I have already a video on my channel to help you with it. So, the result, to sum up our wedding day, would flow beautifully from start to finish. Having a realistic timeline with buffer time built in would mean I never feel stressed or rushed. When my makeup artist runs 20 minutes over, it wouldn't affect anything else. When family photos finish early, we would have time to relax and enjoy a private moment together. Most importantly, I would feel present for every moment of our day instead of, constantly worrying about the clock. That's exactly what a good timeline should do, and that's why I'm sharing all this with you guys. Creating a thoughtful wedding day timeline truly is one of the best gifts you can give yourself on your big day. When done right, it means you can be present and actually enjoy each magical moment instead of constantly checking your watch or feeling rushed. Remember that the perfect timeline isn't about packing in as much as possible. It's about creating a natural flow with enough space to accommodate both your must-have moments and the unexpected things that will inevitably come up. And finally, once your wedding day arrives, try to let go of the timeline a little bit. Yes, it's important to stay generally on schedule, but if your best friend's toast goes a few minutes long because she's sharing a beautiful story, or if your first dance extends because you're having such a wonderful moment, those are the things you will remember forever, not whether you cut the cake at 8 or 8:15. If you found this helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more wedding planning advices. And I'd love to hear about your wedding timeline experiences. Any questions you are struggling with at the moment, share in the comments. See you next time. Bye bye.